Everybody, I'd like to call to order the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board of Directors special meeting for Tuesday, September the 5th. We do have a full house of board members, but if you would, Chief, would you lead us in the pledge? Please, do you have a second?
Recording in progress.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And again, we do have all board members present. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, ask for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second, please.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the only item on today's agenda is just a review of the November 2023 ballot language. That is a resolution calling for an election on a referred measure regarding an extension of the Elk Creek Fire Protection District sunsetting 2.5 mill levy. Do I hear any
Yep.
motion?
I motion to add the ballot language as written by Attorney Camille to the ballot for the 2023 election.
Is there a second?
There is a second here.
All right, all in favor? Oh, actually, there's a second on the motion. I'm sorry, got ahead of myself. I'd like to have discussion on the motion relative to the motion made by Director Devaney, seconded by Director Newby. Any discussion on the motion?
I just have some points to make. And these are, when I went through this ballot measure, I was okay with it as written. But I'm going to take exception to a lot of emails that I saw from Director Newby.
So let me just call to order, or just call to question where we're going with this. If you're willing to, or if you're asking to speak in favor or against the motion, I would ask that you declare so. If you have a point of information, I would ask that you declare that as well. If we are going to have a public comment, I think that this is not the place.
Thanks for shutting me down. I'm done.
Okay, now, is there some other way that you would like to infuse your
No.
opinion? Okay,
No, because you just basically put a frame around my opinion, and so therefore it doesn't fit in your frame. So I'm done. I am not going to go into what I was going to go into.
okay. Please understand that following Robert's rules, when there's discussion on the motion, we are talking about the motion. You can ask for clarification, you can speak in favor or against, but a public comment is not appropriate during discussion on the motion.
That's fine. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Any discussion on the motion?
Sure. So the last part of the language, I believe, is addressing the debrucing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Point of clarification.
Yeah, and just to clarify that, it does reference both the constitutional as well as the statutory section. Under the Attorney General's opinion, essentially voters have the ability to waive both. The Tabor provision is the constitutional provision. There's also a statutory provision historically that limited revenue collection to 5.5% kind of plus inflation. So there's technically two revenue limits. And so that combined language is what's considered the debrucing language. So even though the Bruce is a reference to Douglas Bruce, the Tabor Amendment, that's why you see both a constitutional and a statutory reference in there.
John, a point of clarification. Could you clarify again the Attorney General's opinion part? Could
Yeah.
you clarify that?
So the Tabor Amendment in the Colorado Constitution specifically allowed voters to waive the revenue and spending limits. So in Tabor it says,
Okay.
subject to voter approval or waiver.
Right.
And so a question was raised because prior to the Tabor Amendment, there was a statutory limitation as well that was separate from the Tabor Amendment. And that's what kind of controlled the fluctuation of revenue year to year. So the question was raised when you quote unquote then debruce, you ask for voter approval to waive those revenue and spending limits in the Constitution. the question was very well, does that actually, can that waive the statutory limitation as well?
Right.
And so the Attorney General's opinion that's been on the books now since don't quote me, but I think 2001, has stated that that voter approval, that voter waiver can apply to both limits. So that's why it's drafted the way it is.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Director Woods, I would like to apologize. I think you have an opportunity to state your opinion in a point of personal privilege. Would you like to invoke a point of personal privilege and speak?
It's not about, per se, the ballot measure. It's about emails that have been floating around that I think are inappropriate in terms of a director of the board. And so that would be what I was discussing. But I'm going to waive my right as far as Robert's rule is concerned, and I'm going to not say anything.
Right, any other discussion on the motion?
Yeah, I would like to speak in favor of Director Devaney's motion. I believe that we as a board should refer this 2.5 mil protection or extension measure to the ballot in November. I think it protects our revenue source going forward, regardless of what happens vis-a-vis consolidation, whether it passes or not. I think it's prudent financially to do so, and I would urge my fellow directors to vote for this motion.
Discussion on the motion.
I call the question.
Call the question. There was a motion made by Director Devaney, that, seconded by Director Newby, that this board approve resolution calling for the election of a referred measure regarding an extension of the Elk Creek Fire Protection District sunsetting 2.5 mil levy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye. The motion carries unanimously. And that is the only item on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second by, made by Newby, seconded by Devaney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I was